Wow, well, 2049, one of my favorite movies. So
Thanks. Yeah,
thank you.
amazing sounding movie.
good.
You know, we were geeking out about subwoofer when I first came in. This is a source of pride to some degree. We got reports from the field that many theaters blew their subwoofers because we were just a little too aggressive with the LFE. Just saying. My name is Mark Mangini. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts originally. My credits include Dune Part 1, Blade Runner 2049, Mad Max Fury Road, and 4 Star Trek films, to name but a few, of 162 films. My approach to audio post-production is really very simple. I don't do anything until I understand why I'm doing it. Film schools teach how to do things, but the most successful sound design starts with an understanding of the story. Once you understand the dramatic arc of a project, once you understand what the actors are trying to do, it is so much smaller of a leap to solving the creative challenges. Anyone can know how to use a tool, anyone can know how to edit sound, but that's like saying you could win the Tour de France because you know how to ride a bicycle. If you don't have a strategy, you're not going to find success. And for me, the best strategy is to base everything that I do in the story. Story drives everything that I do.
Do you think that RX-12 would be able to clean up the audio of the sandworm emerging?
Why does the sandworm emerging need cleaning up? Well, you know, on Dune Part 1, we spent 2 days in the Mojave Desert recording everything that we could. Sounds of crashing into the sand, tunneling under the sand, breaching out of the sand for the sandworms. And it meant that at times when we were trying to capture something we were really interested in, wind would blow up and sand would be ubiquitous. The sand sounds themselves were a byproduct of something else that we wanted to remove, and it was something that RX could take out because it's easily identifiable in the neural networks as broadband sound, don't need that, here's the content that we really do need. And we did use RX that way on Dune Part 1. I started my process, as many do, as a technical one. I needed to learn tools. I needed to understand technology to achieve what I wanted to achieve. What I've learned over the years is that my job is to tell stories with sound. And the longer I go, I'm more and more successful when I base my work on how I'm telling a story. What a director's trying to do is tell a story. If you're doing the same thing with sound, that individual immediately understands that you're on the same page with them. But if your approach is, well, you know, we're going to do this at 96 kilohertz, and I want to have a wide speaker dispersion pattern, you bore your filmmakers with mechanical and technical banter, it's pretty clear that you're not quite in sync with what everybody else is trying to do. I was told there's this Swiss Army knife that does amazing restorative things to sound. It was a miracle when it was presented to me. I think I started in RX-7. The very fact that a spectral repair tool existed is a miracle. There was never a way to do what visual effects has been doing very effectively, which is paint something out without affecting that which you want to remain in the final image. I remember on the very first film that I did, we shot in Puerto Rico in a soundstage that wasn't really a soundstage, it was just a warehouse. There were coqui frogs all on the inside of the soundstage, and all the production dialogue had this all through it. I would have had to have manually spliced out thousands of little frog chirps. Now with spectral repair, I was able to repair a scene and maintain the integrity of the original actor's performance and recording. I never had that up until I started using RX with spectral repair. Three years ago, I did a documentary called Goodnight Oppie, and I had the good fortune to be able to use the Beatles song, Here Comes the Sun. And it's a shot of the Mars rover on Mars, and the sun rises on Mars, and we introduce George Harrison singing Here Comes the Sun, but then we have to go to dialogue, and I needed to tuck George's vocals. Abbey Road didn't have separations for that particular piece of music, but I wanted to keep the energy of the music up. So of course, all the new STEM tools that we have for addressing music specifically, where we can isolate into percussion, guitar, drums, vocals, that allowed me to pull apart Here Comes the Sun, which I felt was a little bit of a sacrilege, and just isolate George's vocals, pull those down as the characters are speaking, and then reintroduce it at its proper level and enjoy the rest of the song. This has been a real game changer for us to be able to control a master where we don't have original stems. In the analog era, if I recorded a sound effect, I'd record it in the field on analog, I'd master it on analog, and I only had simple tools like edit. I could splice out a sound, but I didn't have something sophisticated like spectral repair. Today, I now have the Scene Rebalance tools where I can pull apart an entire recording and separate it into a multiplicity of tracks so that I can be even more granular with my approach to mastering a sound. So for example, I'm on a film that's about high school track, and I recently, just last week, went out to record a high school track event. There's a PA announcer, there's DJ playing music, and there's the sound that I want, which is the crowds cheering and the kids running. Now with these new tools, I'm able to separate those into stems and isolate the PA, which I don't want because I can't use. I don't have rights to that person's voice. I can strip out that PA sound. I can strip out the DJ and pull that music out because we don't have rights to that music. And now I have a clean recording of exactly what I was looking for, which is the sounds of a high school track meet. You know, I don't really like doing ADR, and nor do many filmmakers. And there's a number of reasons why this is true. In ADR, the actor is not in the same creative environment, not in the same energy environment as on the set. They're not getting the same feedback. And so it tends to be a very sterile and daunting experience for an actor. And often, because of that, we don't get the performances in ADR that we get from production. If you can't understand the dialogue, you don't have a movie. This is where the RX tools are so valuable because we can now save recordings made on location that have ambient sounds, noise, that would normally propel us into an ADR studio. We don't have to do that anymore. We're saving ourselves time and money and arguably making the movie better because of it, because we can maintain the original performances. It's really made an extraordinary contribution to how we listen to movies now. It's as simple as that. Dialogue can be heard, and that's vital in motion pictures. There's always a benefit to an original recording in selling authenticity. If an actor is handling a prop and it's a good sound that you'd love to keep, but they're talking while they're handling it, we would have to not use that in the international version because it's married to the English dialogue. Now with these new Scene Rebalance tools, I can isolate the effects component of the original production recording and maintain that for the international version without throwing it out with the dialogue, which is what we would otherwise have to do. So it not only maintains the integrity of the recording because it's recorded on set, perfectly in synchronicity with the image, but it doesn't have to be recreated in Foley, which you can do, and that's the typical solution, but Foley's an artifice. The new tools in RX have given me an extraordinary ability to save production effects. I think the future of audio post-production is a universe where tools facilitate our ability to be that much more creative. In a tool like RX that is making us that much more efficient, given the same amount of time, we have that much more time to be creative, which is, I think, what all of us want to do. And that's a good future for us.